us. Can you talk a little bit about how this has informed the way that you started to parent and why world schooling was on the trajectory?
Yeah. So luckily through my healing journey, although it didn't feel like luck at the time, when you go through that inner transformation, it was tragic and my whole life changed. But I had a big spiritual awakening and I said, wait a minute, it was with the law of attraction and the movie The Secret really just touched my soul and just woke me up to say, I knew as a child what was actually right and it was conditioned out of me, and now I'm trying to um uh, shed those layers, unravel the onion of conditioning and control. And um so once I had that spiritual awakening, I just knew that, hey, you know what, it's me, it's my vibration, it's my frequency, it's my moods that are actually bringing my world, what's happening, my universe, my whatever you want to call it, my experiences. Um, so it was just so empowering. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to constantly, achieve and struggle, right? The struggle mentality actually just creates more struggle. So fast forward to when I was pregnant, I had already known that, this all children, this little child, my child as well as all children, she doesn't need to prove herself through grades or through ranking her. She didn't need to be raised with a competitive mindset or even a lack mindset, or basically it's just disconnection, right? I didn't have to break her will. In fact, why not just leave her will intact? So she, why send her on a 30-year journey when she could just keep her instincts, her will, her connection, her inner connection to herself. Why not just leave that intact and not say, oh, sorry, you didn't get a good grade, you're actually not good enough? Why do those things to her that never resonated with me? So that's how I started to do research through Abraham Hicks and other spiritual teachers who were talking about the Sudbury School, unschooling, self-directed education. And I'm like, this is it. This is exactly. But I should also take a step back, because before I got to the education piece, what also really resonated with me, well, I found out about alternative education, call it unschooling or self-directed education. And that to me was just unlocked my soul and was like, this is what I needed when I was a kid. To not have those report cards. They quarterly, 4 times a year, my parents were sitting there and lining all of us up and just, you're not good enough, and you need to work here. It was terrible, to constantly be judged. So I knew that when I found unschooling or self-directed education, I knew that would be the right way. But, with a newborn baby, right, you don't jump right into education. So I found peaceful parenting and conscious parenting. And that was my practice in the beginning. So that I feel is a really important foundation. So maybe for people that are listening, that was the foundation I needed to be able to execute the unschooling myself. I know that there are a lot of self-directed education schools, which are also a great way, and that's nice if that works for some families. But we chose, there still isn't a school, although I am in Massachusetts, I'm not close to Sudbury School or any other self-directed education schools. So I decided to execute it myself, to be an unschooling parent. Um, so yes, if that, and through the unschooling and self-directed education, that's where I heard about world schooling. And that was another kind of like huge click and aha for me, because I was always free spirited and loved to travel. um, so that's how those all kind of came together.
Yeah, I love that. And I love, again, sharing people's stories. We've got what, 14,000 people in this group, and your story is
Wow.
exactly the story that somebody in this group needs to hear. And I think that's beautiful. Um, for you, world schooling, you found it through a spiritual path, and that is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Can you talk to us though about what your world schooling or your on the road learning and all that looks like today? Now that your daughter, you said, was 9.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a huge evolution. And I think I just want to emphasize that point that we did not just jump right into unschooling and we did not just jump right into RVing either. It was a process for sure. So what it looks like now is, through this long process that we won't go into all of the steps. We did decide to buy an RV. We did decide to put our things in storage. So we still have beds and furniture and things like that. It's just in storage right now. We've been in our camper full time in the United States now since February of 2022. The first year, 2021, we part-time camped and went back to our home and regrouped and hung out with our homeschool friends and jumped back on the road. But for this year, 2022, most of the year we have been living in our chateau. We have a motor home. Let's see if I can show you. So it's drivable. You can see that's it's 28 feet. And right now we're at a campground. We love, love, love staying at campgrounds, although it is equipped to boondock or dry dock, so we can. So it can do that, but most of the time we really enjoy being at a campground. We're total unschoolers now. That took a little while for me to master and embrace, but we have a nice routine. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. But my daughter, through and through, unschoolers. Um, so the two terms I like to use, unschoolers and world schoolers. And also you could say self-directed education, which I just say is the same thing as unschooling, just I'm executing it rather than a school.
Yeah, amazing. Okay. So talk to me about what's it like being a single mom in an RV with a single child. What's that like? Tell us what is the experience like? And would you recommend this lifestyle for other world schooling parents?
Awesome. Okay, super good question. So I would say just ask yourself a couple questions. Do you really enjoy driving? Because it's a lot of driving, right? Do you do are you comfortable living in a small space? Um, I think that those are two really important questions. I had lived in a few studio apartments throughout my professional career. I'm fine with a small space. I'm not claustrophobic. So I think for other parents, as a single mom or even a single dad, that may make it easier in terms of finances. If you we're in some travel clubs that keep our campground fees really low. I wouldn't say ultra low, but in the campground world, we're spending much less than what we were paying for rent. But that's not true for everybody. Um, and it's I can go. I don't think that that's a conversation. I could always, if someone wanted more information of affordable RVing in the US, I could do a whole nother conversation. But we did find some affordable ways. Yeah, so I think that I always loved driving. I just loved the freedom of driving. I didn't have experience driving a truck or a motorhome, so that I had to learn, and we just took it really easy. Um, so for me, loving driving and being totally comfortable in a small space, I think those were the two biggies.
Yeah,